Well, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Actually, this is a highly interesting story because I didn't expect this at all. It looks like the UK has discovered massive amounts of oil within its borders in South UK that's going to make the North Sea oil look like infinitesimally small compared to what has been newly discovered. The discovery is up to 100 billion barrels of potential oil, which would dwarf North Sea production. But the problem is, not all of it's, well, I said only a fraction of it is accessible, but you know how that deal goes. Once they know it's there, they can always get it if the price is right, and also there's always new technology that comes out that comes out to maybe get the oil out of there like we found in the United States with the Bakken Oil Reserve, right? So the North Sea oil has always been going for a long period of time, but it's been dwindling, right? So that's one problem that the UK's been having. And, you know, actually when I start thinking about this, you know, the powers that be are probably not going to really want to abandon oil because one of the main models they are using for a revenue stream for the world global government is going to be the global carbon tax that they're trying to push through this BS global warming stuff, while, you know, England freezes their butts off every winter and it gets colder and colder. You know, I'm not all for this. I'm just telling you what their plans are, okay? It's pretty obvious what their plans are. You know, the revenue stream model to get money into the global government is going to be the global carbon tax. So if you abandon this type of technology with, you know, crude oil or natural gas or diesel fuel or whatever, you pretty much kill the revenue stream of that, for which they potentially want to use for global government. And that's why they got the, what do they call it, the you know, the global warming stuff, right? So anyway, here's the Weld Basin. You know, it's what's interesting about this is it's close to London. You know, so anyway, they found that, you know, even though part of this is only accessible, like, you know, accessible under current prices, how's that? But there's still a significant amount of it that's going to be highly accessible. So it says it's a possible world-class resource with the potential for significant daily oil production. Now, they knew about this, actually. They knew about this for the last couple years, but, you know, now it's hitting all the major media stories and everything. So I got to tell you this, though. You know, I've been suspecting something about the policies with Iran, how, you know, Iran's been built up recently through, well, not built up, but basically strengthened indirectly by the new nuclear deal with Iran that Obama pushed. And I highly suspect that they're going to have a conflict now because Iran's going to be flush with cash. They're actually sending ships outside of Yemen, you know, to monitor the situation and stuff. You know, now they got a lot more cash. Now that the sanctions are going to be lifted, so the Shiite side's strong, and the opposite side of that is mainly the Saudi side representing the Sunni side. So if there's a major conflict in the Middle East, it takes all that oil off the market. So I always figured, you know, the U.S. and Canada are going to be sitting pretty, but so is Australia, who's got a hell of a lot more oil reserves they recently discovered, 40 times what they thought they had in the Okavango Basin, I think it was called. And now you have in the UK, you know, the Weld Basin, just south of London. I mean, not even far away, man. You know? But will the price be lower for the people in the UK? Probably not. I don't know. Anyway. But, you know, I have to tell you this. I think that, you know, they always say, you know, this is one theory out there about oil is actually embryonic, or whatever you want to call it. It's like the Earth just keeps producing more and more and more oil, and it never runs out. Now, I actually state this. I think that's true because, I'll give it to you in simple layman's terms. The Earth's temperature, when you get down deep, I mean, not talking about the inner molten core now, but I'm talking about when you get down deep into the Earth, miles down, it stays consistent. It doesn't get hotter. But a lot of people see the molten lava coming up from the earth and they're thinking, wow, that's coming from inside the core. No, it's not. Actually, that molten lava is from stresses in the plates. The plates. It's like friction. In other words, if you take two pieces of steel and you don't have any, you don't have a lubricant on the ball bearings, what happens to the steel? It heats up and turns into molten steel, right? That's exactly what happens in the earth. Like, we have tremendous geological forces happening all the time. And I think these tremendous geological forces are actually what creates the oil. It's like the lubricant is created to help with the tectonic plates to shift too. I don't know exactly how this works perfectly. I don't think anybody else does. But I think just the fact that the Earth's tectonic plates are always shifting around is what is creating the oil. It's not from dinosaurs or ocean plankton from millions of years ago. It's actually the stresses of the Earth that are creating the oil. And if you look at this map, that's why I think there's loads of oil on this Earth, man. You ain't going to run out. But it looks like, the big powerhouses in the future are going to be Canada, US, UK, Australia. The old standbys, the elite. And, maybe even China has oil. Well, you know what they're doing. They're going down there in the South China Sea, staking out claims there, making new artificial islands because there's oil out there, right? But this is actually a map of the geological earthquakes that are found throughout the earth. And, well, maybe it's not a perfect example, but if you look in the Middle East, yeah, hell of a lot of earthquakes. There's actually a hell of a lot of earthquakes in Iran. I think the earthquakes and the geological forces are actually what creates the oil. Even in Texas, a lot of the wells that dried up, they replenished after they were capped off years ago. They replenished on their own eventually. The oil just seeped back in there again. Where the hell is it coming from? It's probably coming from stresses deep down in the earth. That's why I suspect they don't really want to abandon this model of crude oil because of the carbon tax. They want to, maybe it'll be abandoned someday, but not in the immediate future. I don't think so. The elite got a good game, including the Russian elite. So, but the interesting thing about this deal is that you'd never expect that there'd be all this oil just south of London. Not in a million years. Now, even though they say only a fraction of the 100 billion barrels is there that is easily accessible, still a fraction of a huge number like 100 billion barrels is a hell of a lot. So I started thinking, I says, wow, here you got Okavango Basin in Australia was recently discovered, which has 40 times the amount of oil that they thought was all the oil that was in Australia before all their oil reserves. But it's too expensive to extract under the high production output that's, Saudis flooding the market with, but it's there. And then the same thing, you got this 100 billion barrels of, is it 100 billion? 100 billion, 100 billion, 100 billion, 100 billion, yeah. Yeah, 100 billion. That's what it is, 100 billion barrels of potential oil just south of London in the UK in the Weld Basin. And then you have all the shale oil in the United States and all the shale oil and tar sands in Canada. And if there's a major conflict in the Middle East between the Sunni and Shiite sides and all that oil comes off the market, guess what? It's going to be the Western powers are going to be holding all the aces. Which kind of makes me think that's the plan. What do you think? Huh? Same old game as usual, huh? But, I don't want to knock the Western powers because you know what? All these countries everywhere do the same thing, okay? Chinese elite are playing all their freaking games. The Russian elite are playing their games. Saudi families are a bunch of yo-yos. The Iranians are a bunch of yo-yos. I mean, actually, it comes down to it. I like the Western elite better, but I don't like any elite. And personally, if it was up to me, if I could ever figure it out, I want to actually run the car. But, because I'm going to probably get killed if I ever figure that one out. But I got to, for the now, it almost looks like the more things change, the more they say the same, man. They are not going to give up this racket about oil. No way in hell. And now you got the UK. You think they just discovered? I know said they discovered this actually in 2014. Now that it's coming out in 2015, they confirmed it. They probably knew about this for like 20 years. I've been hearing stuff about they know where every damn mineral and diamond is, and from satellite, they got ways to tell where every damn thing is there is on the earth. And then it gets released in the news when, they care to actually tell people about it. So it's a big game, a big racket with the oil markets going up and down. But I tend to think that, now that we got powerhouses like, the UK and Australia having new super strong reserves besides what's already been coming online in Canada and in the United States, it's time for OPEC to take a dirt nap. You know what I mean? That's what I think's going to happen, man. The Sunnis and the Shiites are going to go to war, and they got it all set up because I'm going to tell you, I don't want to drop too many dimes on this because I'm not anti-American or even anti-CIA or anything like that, but when the CIA says don't be critical of the Iranian deal, I'm thinking to myself, what is going on here? What is really going on here? The Iranian deal is good. Why? Because it's going to strengthen the Shiite side, which means that the Shiites are going to attack the Sunnis, which is the royal family, which is the really OPEC. Without Saudi, there's no OPEC. And guess what? You got OPEC 2 going against OPEC 1, Iran going against Saudi. Goodbye OPEC, right? And who's left? USA, Canada, Australia, and the United Kingdom, right? The British Crown. In the meantime, these geological fault points and earthquake zones are probably where all the damn oil is, and there's probably loads of it. The earth is probably awash in oil. Look it up in Alaska, Oh, man, there's probably loads. I mean, there's loads of it off the freaking California coast, too. I mean, I suspect this is really where you probably find a lot of oil, too, all along in here. So, it's a guesstimate because I think that oil is actually produced in the earth by geological tectonic plate movement. And, it's not something that's from, dinosaur fossils or ocean plankton fossils or matter or something like that. So, I don't know. We'll see where this goes, but looks like the UK is going to have a lot of backing for their British pound in the form of oil, right? For all I know, it's the whole of Europe probably got loaded with oil too, and they ain't telling nobody, right? They'll tell you when they want you to know about it, right? That's what I say. Pretty sure that's the way this deal is going. What a racket the elite got, right? I just hope one of us figures out HHO because that'll put the end of this business to done. Be through, right? Free gas.